Hey YouTube, I'm Jacob Beach with the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. Today I'm going to be making a one stick fire using this stick, this Dry Creek Forge Super Khuk, and this fat wood fire steel. Check it out. The reason that I chose to do a one stick fire as one of the tests with the Super Khuk is it literally shows how a single tool can go from very large work such as chopping and batoning down to your fine work with your carving and stuff like that. So I thought it would be a good demonstration for the knife. Oddly enough, one of the first things that I'm going to do here is actually make a baton out of my stick that I'm using for the fire here. I've found as I've gotten deeper and deeper into bushcraft that having a proper baton with an actual handle actually goes an incredibly long way to making an entire project comfortable and enjoyable. And these shavings that I'm taking off of the handle are going to be nice for starting my fire as well, which is just one more step towards the ultimate goal. The first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut off a smaller or shorter section of this wood to chop up or to baton really fine. And the reason I'm going to do this is when I'm doing my fine pieces of wood, if they're too long, they kind of get in the way, so I just start with a shorter piece of wood to make it easier. Also, I'll be saving all of the wood chips from the chopping to use in the fire as well. So you'll see here I'm batoning, trying to just get this short little piece of wood as fine as possible. I will actually not be using this really fine wood for a feather stick. I like to use a longer piece of wood for a feather stick because it gives me more to grab onto as I work. So I'm just rendering this stuff down. It's really not difficult. I could do it more quickly chopping, especially with the Super Khuk, but I think that batoning is really the most safe practice in the bush, and it's what I always try to do. I might get into a hurry and try and chop some stuff. It just depends on what it is. But in this case, there's no reason to risk making a silly mistake and hurting yourself, especially when you get tired. And as everybody knows, you have to practice how you perform. So if in the bush, I'm going to do mostly batoning, then while I'm practicing, I'm going to do mostly batoning. Cedar is an absolutely incredible survival wood because it lights very easily and burns very hot, although it burns quickly, so it's best used for tinder and kindling. Cedar here in Kentucky is much different than Washington State. Here it's a very, very hard wood, and the knots can be extremely brutal. It's not necessarily challenging for the Super Khuk, but it can be challenging for other knives, and in a survival situation, this piece probably wouldn't be worth its use for just the effort that it takes. The other thing that I'm going to do is out of this longer wood, I'm going to get a piece to use for feather sticking that's got a lot of different angles on it. It'll be easier to use that way, but cedar is kind of difficult to feather stick because it warps so much. Even though this wood is so warped, it's really not straight. I really enjoyed doing my feather stick on it. The Super Khuk really makes this a pleasure because the angle of the primary bevel is actually more acute than a lot of small knives. So if you get a good little edge on your feather stick, you can really get some nice, really long curls. But the other thing that's nice is when you get caught up on a little knot or something, you have that weight at the end of the blade to do fine little chops that'll help you get through some stuff. So this feather stick turned out really nice. It burnt great. It actually ended up being better than my tinder, I think. And the other thing that's cool about feather sticking is no matter how many you do, there's always room for improvement. I'm not the best feather sticker on the planet. I can whip them out pretty quick when I want to, but some people's feather sticks are literal works of art. This one here is definitely functional, but not as beautiful as some people's. So here you have it, guys. From small little tiny wood and feather sticks up to wrist size wood and thin splinters and everywhere in between. The one place that I was lacking was that fire tinder bundle right there. You always need to get more tinder than that, and for some reason I thought that since I was just doing this for a YouTube video that I would kind of skimp and wait for tinder to the last step. What I should have done is strip the bark off of the cedar from the very get-go to get it going, but since I didn't have enough of it, it would catch and then it would just kind of burn out, and I ended up being left with just too big of pieces. So what I ended up doing is incorporating my feather stick into my tinder bundle, which I usually don't do. I'll usually add my feather stick afterwards. But this helped the flame catch, and once the flame caught to the feather stick, it was game over. I had a nice fire. It was enjoyable. I would have saved myself a lot of effort just doing things the right way like I normally would. I already said you're supposed to practice how you perform, but for some reason I thought, oh, it's just a YouTube video. I'll get by with less tinder. Always a mistake. If anything, what you should have the most of is tinder. When you think you have enough tinder, get double. I mean, you can't have enough. Get a lot of small stuff, get a lot of tinder. Have a bit of the big stuff, but the big stuff you can go get as the fire's burning. The most important stuff is the little stuff to have ready. So, lesson learned, no excuses, no exceptions. Always have more tinder. Alright guys, so the best part of any fire is being able to relax and enjoy it. The easiest part about making this fire was using the Super Khuk. The hardest part about making this fire was the fact that I thought that since I was just doing this fire for YouTube, I'd cut corners. And this is what always happens when you cut corners, is you make yourself extra work. But, you know, this was a great experience. As you saw, the Fatwood Fire Steel's ferro rod just throws sparks like crazy. And even with how lazy I was with the tinder, if I had used the Fatwood off of this, it still would have been easy. So, I mean, having this nice of a ferro rod wrapped up in this nice of a bunch of Fatwood is really like cheating. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You can check out the Super Khuks on Facebook at facebook.com/Dry Creek Forge, or very soon at drycreekforge.com, and we will have production dates and dates of runs where we'll be selling these. Also, please check out Fatwood Fire Steels at fatwoodfiresteels.com, as well as on facebook.com/Fatwood Fire Steels, and I will have a review up on this beautiful little ferro rod very shortly. So stick around, guys. Please subscribe, share my videos with your friends. I need it, you know, really hoping to grow, get out there, show you guys some more products, and hopefully teach you guys some stuff. So hopefully I'll see you around. Make sure to talk to me in the comments section. Thank you very much. Have a great day.